Welcome to another in our leadership series. I'm Alan Olson, Managing Partner of Greenstein, Rogoff, Olson & Company. I'm here today with Richard King. Richard King is a speaker, motivator, and entertainer. He was in 2000 and 2002 worldwide president of Rotary International. Today he speaks on topics such as the difference between management and leadership, the 10 commandments of leadership, and the 3 qualities of the exceptional leader. He has addressed thousands of people in nearly 100 countries all over the world and every state of the United States. Richard is an exceptional, accomplished entertainment and has performed the leading roles in many of the West Coast productions of Broadway musicals, including The Music Man, Oklahoma, The Sound of Music, and South Pacific. Richard, welcome to the Leaders of Tomorrow. I feel like asking you to sing a few bars from one of your favorite musicals.
Whatever you want me to do.
But seriously, as someone who lectures on leadership, what do you think of the qualities of an exceptional leader?
I've read many definitions of leadership over the years, studied it extemporaneously for a long, long time, and it seems to me that the best definition of a leader I've ever come across is this: a leader is somebody who influences somebody else to do something, to get something done. The quality of leadership is the quality of influence. So, in my judgment, having watched leaders in many places and trying to develop a leadership style of my own, I think there are 3 qualities that are essential to what Herbert Hoover called the uncommon leader. The first is a conviction that what you're doing is important and worth doing. If people do not believe that you believe in what you're doing, then it's very difficult to get them to follow, and your influence is very minimal. Secondly, you got to have a vision of what it is that you think is possible. For that reason, I've always kept as a personal mascot in my home and in my office lots of eagles, because eagles have a vision that very few species on this planet have. Somebody once asked Helen Keller, I was at her home down in the South, and someone once asked her, is there anything worse than being blind? And she said, yes, having sight and no vision. So I believe that a good leader has a vision of what it is he's doing. And finally, in my judgment, the exceptional, uncommon leader has an unyielding, undying commitment, because it's commitment which motivates people to do things.
I've noticed one of your talks is on the 10 commandments of leadership. What is the first commandment?
The first commandment is a conviction that you believe in what you're doing. That's the very first one. Alan, there are a lot of people who try to sell ideas and sell products to other people. And in my experience as a trial lawyer in front of judges and juries and in courtrooms for 46 years now, I've come to the conclusion that you got to be able to fake sincerity, if I can put it that, the old adage. You got to believe, because people can detect. Well, let me give you an illustration that's a little off the track. Okay. I once, as you so very nicely just pointed out, did a lot of time singing in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. And I had my own performances there. And in those days, the town was governed by Frank Sinatra and his friends. Mm-hmm. I once had the opportunity to ask Mr. Sinatra why his singing was so good, because his voice was not as smooth as some others, and I said, so why is it that you're so great? And he said, because I treat every song with integrity. I believe in the lyric that the writer wrote. I'm not just trying to pretend I have a pretty voice and make the tone nice. I want the feeling to be honest and sincere and full of integrity. I believe a leader's got to do that in any field. I think that's important because people can detect. If you don't believe it, they won't believe it.
Finally, how can a young person today develop leadership traits?
In my experience, I run across an awful lot of young people who come and ask me for advice. And I meet many, many young people who are delaying getting started because they don't know what they want to do. So they waste time trying to decide what they want to do. And the years go by, 16, 17, 18, 20, 25, and they're still trying to figure out what they want to do. And I always say to them, do something. Get going. Don't waste the time. Whatever it is that you learn how to do will be applicable to what you eventually wind up doing one way or the other. So I like the adage of a great church leader and a former world president of Rotary International, Richard L. Evans, who said on one occasion, young people should begin where they are. Everybody who got where he is had to begin where he was, because there's no place else to begin. There's always somebody with more money and less. There's always somebody fatter or skinnier. There's always somebody from a bigger home or a smaller home. There's always somebody with more of a opportunity to do this or do that, and somebody with less. It doesn't make any difference. You're competing with yourself. Always compete with yourself, not with somebody else, and do as much as you can. Begin. Do not let life discourage you, I would say to young people. Don't waste time. Do something. Get an education in something, even if you have to change later on. It'll always apply. Everybody who gets where he is had to begin where he was, because there's no place else to begin. And don't be afraid to fail. You know, Abraham Lincoln failed at everything for 30 years. He failed at everything. He ran for Congress, he ran for the Senate, he ran for vice president, he failed in business, he failed in law practice. And then finally, in 1860, after 30 years of failure, Abraham Lincoln won and became immortal for the ages and one of our nation's greatest leaders. So that's what I would say to young people.
Your insights are invaluable, and I can see why you've grown to the position that you have in life.
Well, I want to thank you for doing what you're doing. I think this is wonderful for you to do this, and I'm privileged to be part of it.
Thank you very much, Richard. This has been another in our Leaders of Tomorrow series. I'm Alan Olson.